Starting over on the stimulus package, why this may be a good thing. Also, what Joe Manchin and Nancy Pelosi both said today about the stimulus package. And what the Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen said today about inflation this year. I have all the details for you in this video, so let's get into it right now. But if you haven't done so, or if you're new here, make sure to subscribe by hitting the button right down below the video, as it's totally free to do so, and so I can keep you updated each and every day with all of these details as they are changing very rapidly. Also, make sure to stay tuned as my wife Corey will be back here in just a couple minutes with the new updated list of shoutouts for those names that are pulled right out of this community. And remember, those names are changing every single video. So stay tuned for that, and let's get into this right now. All right, so very interesting. Over the last week or so, we've been hearing from a number of different lawmakers who have been coming out saying that after they vote on the voting rights bill, which happened late last night, that they would be revisiting the stimulus packages right afterward. Well, as we know here, a lot of times Congress says a lot of things and then they don't exactly follow through right away. However, this time, we need to give them a big old pat on the back because they actually followed through. So, after the voting rights bill and the voting went down yesterday evening, they came back today and started working on the stimulus package right away. So, I'm actually kind of surprised, to be honest with you, and I'm actually super glad about it because this is finally getting some new updates on the stimulus package. We're getting some new updates. We're getting some ideas and some plans as to how they actually want to move forward with the packages and what they want to do here. So we heard a number of different remarks out today from Joe Manchin, very important. We heard Nancy Pelosi speaking, and we heard those remarks out of the president yesterday with his long press conference that was nearly 2 hours long. So let's get into this and talk about what Joe Manchin said today, and then we can talk about Nancy Pelosi. So Joe Manchin met with some reporters earlier today to address their questions about the Build Back Better agenda, otherwise known as the stimulus package. Here's what he said. They are starting over from scratch. Yeah, you heard that correctly. So the Build Back Better agenda, just like I said earlier today in one of my videos, I said that whole plan, the Build Back Better agenda, is done. The $2.2 trillion package that was sent over from the House a couple months ago and is now sitting in the Senate, that one's done. It's not coming back, right? So we can use that one as a framework, but that package has gone nowhere fast, and according to Joe Manchin, they're going to be restarting over. They're going to start the bill completely over from scratch, blank sheet of paper, and start writing. So this is actually a good thing. Now, we're looking at this and thinking, how could this possibly be a good thing? At the speed that they move, we could be looking at this for another 6 months. Yeah, we could be, but highly doubt it. Here's why. First off, they're going to be working privately, one-on-one with Joe Manchin to make sure that they're getting everything into the package that he will be in support of. That's important right there. Number two, this is also a very good thing because we know that the current package is not going anywhere and it's likely not going to go anywhere. So why continue to work on something or just continue to look at something that's not getting any traction or any support? So I feel like if it's not going to go anywhere and it's not going to do anything, let's just get rid of it and let's just start over with a brand new page, right? So that's another good thing. This is also a good thing because, as we know right now, the package was first supposed to be an anti-poverty plan, a human infrastructure plan, soft infrastructure. Remember all these statements we heard? But it transitioned into pretty much no longer an anti-poverty plan over the, 8 or 9 months that they were working on it. So the reason that this is a good thing, they're starting over from scratch. They're really going to figure out what is important. What do the people need in this package? And the likelihood of them adding some kind of provisions in there for the people could potentially be even better now because as the Build Back Better plan was sitting there, they had the general framework of it. They could have taken things out. They could have added things in. However, when they build the plan, this is when things could be added in that'll be really, really good for the American people. So this is actually going to be a more highly focused plan on the people, and this is actually a good thing that they're starting over. They'll likely be able to get this plan done way faster than they ever did the Build Back Better, even though it took them, how many months? 8 months it took them to do the Build Back Better, and they didn't even do anything with it, right? So the whole fact that they're starting over from scratch is actually a really good thing, in my opinion. Again, Who knows? This is just my opinion based on everything that we've been watching for a while now. I'm saying watching this thing very closely, for them to start over with a fresh slate, just to start completely over, I think is actually very, very good. So I'm excited about this. Joe Manchin was very excited earlier today. He was in a good mood when he was talking to reporters, and he also seems very optimistic about this plan. Now, let's quickly talk about some of the things that we can anticipate probably being in the plan. But again, this is not limited to. These are just some of the things that we already anticipate will be in there based on what the president said, based on what Nancy Pelosi said, and some indication of maybe what Joe Manchin is also in favor of. We probably anticipate there's probably going to be around that $550 billion for climate in there. That was what was originally in the Build Back Better agenda as well. We can also anticipate there's probably going to be some funding in there for free preschool or childcare, and there's probably going to be the child tax credit advanced payments in there. However, those could be undergoing some changes as they work their way through this next package. So those are a few of the things that we can anticipate being in there. But again, like I said, not limited to. There's highly likely going to be far more provisions in the plan, but those are a few that the president indicated are very important to him, and Nancy Pelosi said the same thing as well. So with that being said, let's quickly talk about what Nancy Pelosi said today about this new package and where we currently stand with this. Nancy Pelosi also indicated today when she was out speaking, so yeah, a couple big names here coming out speaking about this new package. She also indicated it may need to be a brand new package and it needs to be rebranded. So as of right now, it's running under the brand Build Back Better, right? Well, sorry, that name's not going to fly anymore. They need to come up with a new brand. In other words, they need to give it a new name. They need to give it something fun. They need to give it something that's going to be objective, something that's going to be for the people. Build Back Better, it sounded good at the time, but it's just not doing anything. So that name needs to be thrown into the curb, and it needs to be given a brand new name. So I'm interested to see what they come up with. We have no clue. I have not seen any speculations or any kind of indication what that name could be. But of course, the name is just the name. I mean, realistically, at the end of the day, who cares what the name is? We need to figure out what is in the package for us, the people that are struggling right now, the people who need the relief going forward. So this is actually a great thing that they're starting over. And even people like Nancy Pelosi, the president indicated yesterday the package will likely be much smaller and possibly chunked down. A lot of good things here. Just between yesterday evening and through the day today, we've gotten some pretty good updates on this, and this is some pretty good stuff. Also, remember, they are working on the other secondary package. Yes, there's two packages in order right here, right now. Now, is there a likelihood that they may split these up and keep them as two individual packages? Yeah, possibly, and likely they probably will do that. Is there a possibility that they will merge these together? Yes, they could, but then again, they face the trouble of having too big of a package that is too broad. They might be better off just trying to get, two separate packages done. Maybe one could be going through the regular legislative process with bipartisan support, or they could kind of lump them together as one massive reconciliation bill. They have a lot on their plate right now and a lot of options, right? They have a lot of outs to get this done. So some pretty good stuff going on right now. Some very encouraging updates on this going forward. So honestly, I'm a little bit surprised that they jumped right on this and came right back to it like they said that they would. It's not very often that they say they're going to do something and actually follow through when they say they're going to do it. So I'm actually very pleasantly surprised with the updates today. All right, let's quickly talk about the Treasury Secretary, Janet Yellen, and what she mentioned about inflation. Now, this is something that's very important because I think all of us can recognize right now, inflation is incredibly hot. Let me give you a little quick example here. And again, this is just a little personal story. So my wife and I, we have one vehicle. Obviously, I don't drive. I don't think you want a blind dude driving. So I don't drive. So we have one vehicle that Corey drives, by the way. Usually back in I'm going to say, 2019, early 2020, something like that. Maybe like a year ago. I honestly don't remember when it was. It was not that long ago. Maybe a year and a half ago. We would fill that vehicle up with gas and it'd be like $23, $25, something like that. Not too bad. Something that was reasonable. We filled up the other day. This is unreal. I could not believe the total when Corey told me. $49. Same old thing, same vehicle, same thing that we always done. It was not even on empty. $49. Unbelievable. It's double the price that it was like a year and a half ago. So inflation is a real thing right now, right? So gas prices are out of hand right now. Man, I feel like we're just getting smacked every time we turn around, right? So unbelievable. I couldn't believe what the price when she told me that. So anyway, just a real life story of like real life inflation that we're dealing with right now. And I know that a lot of you in this community are also dealing with the same thing. So it's not just me, it's everybody here. The same thing goes with food prices and everything else. Anyway, just wanted to share that with you really quickly. All right, so Janet Yellen was out, and she's the Treasury of the Treasury Secretary. So she was out talking about inflation. Now, here's what we know based on what the Chairman of the Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell, has mentioned, and what we can anticipate out of the remarks out of the Treasury Secretary and everybody else. We do know that the Federal Reserve is going to be raising interest rates. That is one way that they can lower inflation, is by raising interest rates. However, can they raise interest rates by 1/4 of a point, as in 0.25%, and have inflation come down? Probably not. I'm just being real with you. Probably not. They need to raise it probably significantly higher than that. So Janet Yellen, the Secretary of the Treasury, was also out indicating that the Federal Reserve will be doing what they can with their toolbox, the tools that they have available to them, as in raising interest rates, and she anticipates that inflation will continue to be above the benchmark of 2% through the vast majority of 2022. However, by the end of this year sometime, so later this year in 2022, she anticipates that inflation could be back down to around 2%, which, as I've mentioned in previous videos, that is the benchmark of the Federal Reserve. They typically like to keep inflation around 2%. That's like the focus every year for the Federal Reserve, is let's keep inflation around 2%. That's just kind of the ongoing running target for the inflation for the Fed. However, they, as you can see, they've been running a little bit above their little schedule there at around 7% as of last month. So they're over by about 5% right now. Yeah, just a little over bit. So but this was encouraging out of Janet Yellen. However, we also do know that the way that the Federal Reserve can actually lower interest rates actually lower inflation is by raising interest rates. So it's kind of like a give and take right now. It's kind of an unfortunate situation, but here's what has to happen. The Federal Reserve needs to come in and raise interest rates significantly in order to bring inflation down. So on one hand, we're paying less when we go to the grocery store, maybe, because it's going to take a while for those prices to be reflected with the lowering inflation. It's not going to be like you flip a switch and all of a sudden inflation prices have gone down as a result of inflation. It doesn't really work that way. Prices go up very quickly and come down slowly as a result of inflation. But here's the thing. Maybe we're going to see a little bit of a reprieve on prices out at the grocery store and gas pump, things like this. But at the same time, we're going to be paying more on interest rates. So are we really going to be getting any relief at the end of the day? Maybe. We might be seeing less prices at all of the goods and products and services that we buy, but at the same time, any balances that we have that have a interest rate tied to them that is not a fixed interest rate, maybe like personal loans, lines of credit, credit card balances, things like this. If we're not paying off our debts, as in our loans that do not have fixed interest, we're going to be paying more in interest. So at the end of the day, are we really going to be getting any kind of relief? I guess maybe a little bit. You know what I'm saying here? So it's kind of like a give and take. Less at the stores that we're paying out, but yet more on the interest rate. So I don't know. You can look at it both ways, right? So anyway, wanted to point that out, but I guess it's a little bit encouraging. But again, at the same time, Janet Yellen almost needs to say this about inflation, right? She can't come out and be like, yeah, we're going to see 7% inflation through the entire year of 2022. She just really can't say that, right? So, of course, we'll have to see what happens. Nobody really knows at this point, but we do know one thing. Inflation will be with us very strong for probably at least the first half of 2022. That's what we've been seeing from everybody. Almost everybody out there right now is admitting that, yeah, regardless of what we do, inflation is here to stay for at least about 6 months or so. Maybe 4 or 5 months if we're lucky, but probably at least about 6 months. So, anyway, wanted to let you know what the Treasury Secretary was saying, as well as Joe Manchin, Nancy Pelosi, and a little bit of what we know now about the stimulus packages. This is good stuff. I would say this is a pretty big win and a pretty big update that we got today on what Joe Manchin and Nancy Pelosi were saying, simply because this gives us a better indication as to what we can see going forward with these packages and the new starting over package. This could be a really good thing. We'll have to watch this very closely and see what is in it. Don't worry, I'll keep you posted every single day as we do get more details. So if you haven't done so yet, make sure to subscribe down below, share this video with your friends, family, social media, go back and check out any of the other 2,000 videos here on the channel. And with that being said, let's bring Corey in so she can bring in that new list of shoutouts for those names that are changing in every single video. By the way, these names are pulled right out of the fan club. If you're interested in checking that out, again, there's a link down below in the description. Otherwise, at the top of the comments section, I'll pin a comment there. You can see the link, but it is not required. It's just for those people who maybe want a little bit more right here on the channel. So with that being said, Corey, take it away. Congratulations to all of the shoutouts in this video. And remember, this list is changing every single video, so stay tuned for your shoutouts. All right, Corey, it's all you. Take it away, and I'll catch you again later in the next video. Thanks for watching.
We're excited to shout out Cheryl Gant, Sharia Taylor, Marsha Doki, Cindy Flever, My Haunted Dolls, Lisa Sue Murray, Linda Power, and John Nunez. Thank you for being in the fan club.